Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm reviewing the wonderful Vevor diesel heater. I've had this thing for about 2 months. I've used it to heat a 2-car garage with a single door, with the door cracked open about that much. I'm able to keep it about 20 degrees warmer inside than outside. Obviously that depends on the size of the space, how well insulated it is, outside temps, etc. But it's been wonderful for that. I've also been using it camping out here in the Pacific Northwest this time of year. It's kind of a constant mist and rain on and off, and fog and snow. So sitting outside in front of a campfire doesn't really work, and all the wood is super wet. So it's kind of a struggle to keep a fire going if I can find wood, and keeping enough bundles for camping for a week at a time is, I just don't have room to carry that much wood. So you can see where the fuel level's at now. We're at about half. This is the third night that I've used this thing camping, and I kick it on at about 4:30 when the sun goes down, and I turn it off at about 10 or 11. And 3 days worth now, I think it's 8:30 now. We're right here, so I've got a couple more days out of this. That's pretty fantastic. It's running on biodiesel right now. You can run it on regular diesel. You can run it on kerosene. People are running these off of waste oil and mixes of waste oil and diesel or kerosene, which is really cool. You can use this to heat a rooftop tent. You can get a longer hose. This is where the hot air comes out, and you can run this up to your rooftop tent. You can run it inside your vehicle if you sleep inside. You could hard mount one of these inside a vehicle. You could use it to heat a cabin, a tiny home, whatever you want. There's so many options, and the biggest benefit, besides how efficient it is that it's hot, dry air. I used to use the buddy heaters, and I had some serious problems with mold in my van, and that was a big part of it. Those buddy heaters just put out a ton of moisture. So with this dry heat, you know, if I'm out on a long hike and I get wet and my clothes are wet, I can use this to dry off my clothes. I've been setting up this tarp like this, and it kind of traps in the heat, and it keeps kind of makes a warm room for me depending on how I set up the tarp. So it's been working really well, and I've also got it set up so that inside my outdoor living room here, I've got the heat coming straight out onto me, and it's nice and warm, and I can sit up here and edit photos, edit videos, watch movies, whatever I want. It's really, really cool. And another bonus of this particular unit is its Bluetooth. So I've actually got a Bluetooth remote which has on and off and high and low. Hopefully you can see that. And that's really cool to be able to do those things with it. And it's also got an app, which is really handy, especially if this is outside and you're inside. It could be just tremendously helpful. So let me kick on the screen recording here, and we'll get into the app, and I want to show you that real quick. So it's loading up. It's going to take a minute to load up. There we go. I don't even know if you'd call that a minute. That wasn't even a minute. So here we go. So here's the app, or I guess you can see it on your screen, but we can turn it up and down. Let's turn it on high. You hear the ticking? Hear it's going faster? That's the fuel pump. We'll get to that ticking in a second. So here it's chooched up on high, and the air coming out of this thing is just insanely hot. This is like, this would burn you alive inside a vehicle. It's crazy. So it'll take a second to get all the way up. There we go. So the fan noise is kind of high out here, but coming out of the hose itself, it's not so bad. So I'm going to turn this back down to low so it's not so loud and I don't waste fuel. But yeah, you can hear it winding down. So this ticking, that is the fuel pump, and I've read a lot of people complain about it online, and you can buy a silent fuel pump for it, and there's ways that you can modify the way that it's mounted to quiet it down. Personally, I find it comforting. I'm a musician and I use metronomes a lot, and it just sounds like a metronome, and it kind of gets me on the beat, and I don't know, it feels comfortable to me. I like it. So I'm not going to change it on mine. I dig it. I will change this hose out at the end of the night. You know, I sleep inside the 4Runner. I don't hang out in it if I don't have to, because it's such a small space. It's designed to live out of. So this is my living room. This is where I hang out. But I'd like to be able to run the heat inside to heat it up and get it super nice and toasty inside while I get undressed and get into bed. And that would be really helpful. That would be really nice. So that's one modification I'm gonna make. Another one is the fuel cap leaked on me. There's a tiny hole in the top, that is air hole, so as the fuel goes down, it needs to be replaced with air. That allows that to happen. It leaked inside the 4Runner, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of the smell. I've tried and tried and tried. There are things you can do about that. You can get a one-way valve for a chainsaw or a dirt bike and hook it on there, and that problem will be completely solved. Or just stick a piece of duct tape on it when you're traveling, like I've been doing. That works well too. So that is pretty rad. You know, besides those two little things, I have nothing but good things to say about this. I don't know why I didn't buy another one last year. They do, I don't understand why. They are designed too short. So I had to cut a couple 1x3s down here, and I painted them in some nice mold resistant paint to raise the whole thing up, because there's not enough room for the exhaust pipe. So you have to elevate it a little bit, and that's, I'm not sure why it is that way. Why don't they just make it taller? But I don't know. That is what it is. So to run this thing, we've already talked about the fuel. The other thing you're gonna need is electricity. It needs a 12 to 24 volt. I believe it does 24. I wish I brought the manual with me. I forgot the manual. I think it goes up to 24. But you're gonna need to power it. You gotta power the controller on the front and the Bluetooth, and mainly the glow plug that creates the combustion with the fuel. So I'm using this LiTime 100 amp hour lithium battery. It's a self-heated battery, so I can charge it when it's close to or below freezing. It'll actually heat up the cells and allow it to take a charge safely. The other thing you're gonna need to run this is a carbon monoxide detector. There is the potential that there is a leak. The exhaust comes out the bottom right here, and if there was a leak, if I was in a closed space, it could potentially, you know, one, it would just be leaking the exhaust and carbon monoxide inside, but two, it could get into the intake and actually blow carbon monoxide out of the fresh, hot, dry air output. So you want to make sure that you don't have a leak. And I like this this style. This is a Top Test CT580. This has a battery inside of it that'll last for a few days. It has vibrating, it has lights, and it has an alarm that goes off if there is a leak. And I can just set this down right next to the exhaust, and I can keep this plugged into the vehicle while I'm driving. It'll charge off the cigarette lighter, so that keeps this thing topped off. And then I have carbon monoxide detector inside too. Super important. Definitely an absolute must-have if you're gonna have one of these. So yeah, that I think that covers everything. We've got the app, we've got the Bluetooth, we've got all kinds of different ways to use this, different fuels, different ways to get electricity. I am super impressed with this thing, and it has allowed me to be comfortable outside while I'm camping in winter. This is an awesome campfire replacement. There's nothing like a real campfire, but I tell you what, when the sun goes down at 4:30 and there's nothing to do for 6 hours, all I want to do is still be outside, and being able to stay warm and dry is just a monumental thing for me. So big thumbs up for me. I love this thing. They're cheap, they're affordable. Check the links in the description. The other thing is, if something were to go wrong with this, there are parts available. Every part is available. If I were, you know, in Alaska or like very, very off grid, and I relied on this to keep me alive, they're so cheap that you could buy a few of them and just have the parts on hand. And there's also an incredible online community of enthusiasts. People nerd out about these things, and they know everything about them. So any issue you have, you can very quickly find a solution online. Somebody's gonna have the answer, and it is available. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you get yourself a Vevor diesel heater, because these are awesome. And check out the LiTime batteries as well. That's very reliable, affordable battery, and it keeps the Vevor going for a long time. Thanks for watching. See you next time.